a best friend, that's what a best friend's for.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to episode 2 in our master bedroom makeover. We are breaking this whole process up into several videos because there's so much that I want to get done in here and it's just not going to be realistic to get it done in one video. So in the last video, we actually painted our bed and made it less farmhouse style because we really wanted to stay on a budget, but I wanted it just to transform a bit. And we totally did that with the bed. We also made this DIY bench. This one is just temporary because I'm finding one on Facebook Marketplace. And then we also changed out our rug for one that just fits the new style a little bit better. But today our focus is going to be on 3 different things. One, we are going to paint the entire room. And I asked for your guys' opinions and thoughts and ideas, and we finally narrowed it down to a color. So we're gonna paint the entire room. We are also going to be making some DIY shelves to install in this little cove. And before we do that, we of course need to paint the walls. So we're just gonna go ahead and paint everything. And then I kind of was debating on if we were going to just refinish these nightstands or get something different. And I found one that I really love and I got them on a good deal. So we're going to also be building some new nightstands and that's going to be kind of the focus of today's video. And then next episode, I don't know where we'll go from there, but we'll move forward. So let's go ahead and get on into it.
I wanna hear you say that you only want me. Nostalgia doesn't mean I want you. Take my life, then give it back. Give it back. The most wanted on my favorite playlist. Don't worry, baby, it'll pass. Deep breath in my brain noise. I don't need a minute to think. Probably high up on the memories that I replay of a favorite day. Don't worry, baby, I'll be right where you left me stuck in.
So of course, the first thing that we need to do is just pull everything off of the wall and start clearing out the furniture. Now, you only have enough room for so much in your room, so we are actually just pulling everything out except for the bed. The bed we're just going to kind of pull forward into the center of the room, and that will give us enough space to kind of move freely around the room and paint all the walls. But honestly, we hate doing this, not because of the work of moving everything, but it just so badly reminds us of moving. If you've been here a long time, you know we have moved so many different times. Kyle and I actually got married back in 2009, and within 2 weeks of getting married, his Air Force join date changed and he left for basic training. So we were only together like 2 weeks before he actually left for a few months. And then it was so funny, like we weren't able to live together for the first, I think 6 months or something. Like I had to live on an apartment off base, but then we were there for 7 months. Then we moved to North Carolina. We were there for just over a year, and that's where we had Luke, our first son. Then we moved to Georgia and we were there for about 4 years, and we had our second son there in Georgia. Then we moved back to Montana temporarily just for a few months while we waited for his air traffic controller job to kind of tell us where they were going to move us to. Then we moved to South Dakota, which is where we had our third son, and that's also where this crazy life was started, which has been such a cool thing and such a blessing for our family. And then after living in Sioux Falls for about 2.5 years, we moved to Utah, and we actually thought that was going to be our forever home. We were thinking we were done moving, and then about 3 years later, we ended up moving here to Arizona, and now we've been in this house almost 3 years now, not quite, but we love it here, and we don't want to really say it because we don't want to jinx ourselves, but we think this is going to be where we end up. All right, so we have all the furniture pulled away from the wall. The walls are wiped down, the baseboards, all the things. I have like a love-hate with painting. It's just that it lasts for so long because you have to do multiple coats, but it makes the biggest difference whenever you're doing a project and you can get a gallon of paint for like, you know, 50 bucks or something, and it makes the biggest difference. So it's like such a great budget-friendly tool to completely transform your space. So do you have any guesses on what color we are painting the walls in here. We are going with the same color that we painted our kitchen cabinets, and we actually had this color in our Utah house, but it was one of the most suggested, and it was one of the colors that I was kind of leaning towards anyway. I wanted an off-white color, and so we went with Benjamin Moore White Dove. It's like a warm white color, but it's going to brighten the space, and I actually wouldn't probably paint this whole room white or off-white, other than I want to put some molding in here and kind of give it a little bit more character than I think it has. And with that, I really just love the look of like a clean white room with molding in it. So that's the plan. We're not doing the molding today, but I want to do this as the backdrop to that. And like I said, since we're putting up the shelves and everything, we want to get the walls painted first. So let me go ahead, change into my paint clothes, lay down some drop cloths, and we'll get this room transformed.
Follow me to the sunshine, come and see what it feels like. Higher, higher than we climb, I know somewhere that you and we could stay why we could stay why we could stay why we could stay why. Wake up, don't miss your chance. Take off, get lost again.
Alrighty, so the first thing is the worst part about painting, which is cutting in. Back when we were painting a lot of our rooms here in this house, I have had a lot of painting experience, but I just never really tried cutting in. I had always taped off all the edges and everything, which does work really well, but it seriously takes so long. Like if you have a whole big room to do, it can take an hour or more just to tape everything off. And then it's like you haven't even started painting. So learning how to cut in has been such a time saver. And honestly, it's just saved my sanity a little bit as well. But I also wanted to address, I am not going to be taking off any outlet covers or anything like that off the walls. And the reason for that is not because we're being lazy, I promise. Normally, I think that is definitely the best way to do it. However, some of the fun little things that we get to enjoy in Arizona are scorpions. And so, since we don't love having them in our house, shortly after moving in, we actually had our house sealed for scorpions. And so because of that, all of the outlets, lights, all the things are sealed. And if you pull them off, you'll break the seal and then you have to get them resealed. So we do everything we can to avoid doing that. Of course, when we change out lighting and things like that, you have to. There's just no other choice. But when it comes to painting, it's definitely not worth breaking the seal. So that's why we're leaving on all of the outlet covers, all the light fixtures. And although it's inconvenient, it is so much better than finding a scorpion in your house because yes, we have found a few so far.
We can stay
It was at this point that I decided to stop cutting in and realized that I was going to need to paint the ceiling of our room. Now our trim originally, as well as the ceilings, is like an off-white, which is totally fine, but I feel like it is more on the off side than the white side. And so I don't know if you can totally see it on camera, but definitely in person, the walls were looking a lot more brighter and a lot whiter than the ceiling. And I just feel like that's such an odd look. So I went ahead and just focused on the walls first, but I didn't bother cutting in just because I knew we were going to have to blend it all anyway in the end. And that honestly made the process go a lot quicker because I wasn't having to be as careful on the crease between the ceiling and the wall. And I believe this is actually my first time painting a ceiling, and honestly it was like really not a big deal. It did get me a little bit sore on my back and neck, but other than that it really didn't set us back a whole lot. This is going to be a little bit controversial. I'm sure it's going to bother a few of you, but we decided to paint around this tall arch mirror because one, it's so heavy, but two, it is basically a permanent piece and it was such a pain to get it put up on the wall. It was totally worth it because we love this mirror, but we just knew it wasn't worth pulling off, possibly breaking it. So instead we just very carefully painted around it and it worked out perfectly. So anyway, I hope that doesn't bother you, but it'll be fine. It's just what we ended up doing. But oh my gosh, I don't know what it is. It's so satisfying to me to watch someone paint. I feel like also because it goes so quickly, like literally this is a few minutes that you're watching, but this took us so many hours. I think like maybe 6 hours or so, just because the ceilings are kind of tall. And so we had to be on a ladder for all the painting up high. Of course, then we had to finish everything up by painting on the ceiling. And because we were using a white paint and going lighter with the color, it just takes a little bit longer. So we ended up having to do a few coats, but the final product is so amazing. Alright, so we have the first coat put on everything aside from the ceiling, but it's looking really, really good. I feel like it's so much brighter in here and it's definitely gonna give more of like a modern twist in here. And look how nicely the bed is popping from the wall. I do think it's gonna look a little blank before we add the molding and things like that, but it's gonna be like the perfect backdrop, so I'm so excited. So now the plan is I'm literally going to go around the bottom, cut in again around the baseboards, and then Kyle's gonna start rolling again, cutting in around the fan, cutting in around the lights, all the ceiling stuff, and then we can start kind of laying some plastic down and start painting the ceiling. And I'm not sure if we're gonna need to do 3 coats on the walls, but I'm kind of thinking maybe 2. We'll just kind of see when it dries how it's looking. My goodness, Benji, do you see him? Sitting on the bed trying to see if he can climb onto the ladder. Anyway, all right, let's continue on.
That's life.
So we ended up going through a lot of paint for this room. We went through 2 gallons, actually just a little bit over 2 gallons, because we ended up having to do 3 full coats of paint on the walls, and then we did also have to do the ceiling, but thankfully because we were painting over an almost white ceiling, we only had to do 1 coat on the ceiling, so that was amazing because I did not want to do 3 up there. But we did get a different type of paint this time just because our favorite go-to was actually out of stock, so we went with this one. I do feel like it was a little bit thinner, and anytime you get a thinner paint, that typically will mean you need to do more coats of it because it's just that it's going to go on a lot thinner. So if you can find a really nice, thick, good coverage paint, I would absolutely suggest doing that. I feel like in the end it ends up being about the same price because even though it might be more expensive per gallon, you're going to end up needing less coats. Also, I'm wishing that I got a picture of it, but as we were painting the ceiling, you could see the places that some of the previous owners had missed whenever they painted the wall, but the original color, including on the ceiling, was mustard yellow. Like, I can't even imagine this whole room being just encapsulated in mustard yellow, but it kind of doesn't surprise us at this point because we have painted over a lot of wild colors.
Keep on believing until it's mine, until it's mine. I make it mine. That's life.
Now, I know I said I'm not taping off things. However, in the bathroom, when it leads from our bedroom into the bathroom, there is no hard corner or anything. It's just the soft rounded corners. So I did want to get a hard line in there because the color in our bathroom is pale oak. And so I wanted that hard, distinctive line between the bedroom and the bathroom. Now we have slowly kind of been making some changes to our bathroom. Our mirrors arrived that we're going to be changing out in there. So I'm not exactly sure when we'll get to that because we have a ton of things planned in the next few weeks. I'm actually going to Montana for a fun makeover, which I'll share that a little bit later on in the video, but eventually we will head back into the bathroom and I'm really excited to see kind of how we can transform the space even further. All right, it is a new day. We have everything all nice and painted and it's so pretty. It's like very crisp, but it also just definitely has a warmth to it. And I think it's gonna look so pretty with the shelves. So this morning, once we had moved our bed back last night, this morning I went ahead and painted like right around the fan. That was a pain, but worth it. And then also we just got back from Home Depot. We went and picked up wood and things like that because I measured, and this is basically the gist of what we're wanting to do in here. So we just kind of went with like the rule of 3. And I divided the wall into 3 and I did 2/3 of it with the shelves. I kind of debated on whether we should do like staggered shelves or, you know, just straight uniform, and I went with uniform. I think it's just gonna go with the style a lot better and be a lot more timeless. I want to create more height. So I just set this one just to kind of give me a visual idea on a little stool right there. But we got a planter and I'm going to like elevate the other one to make it a little taller. Anyway, it's gonna look really good, I think, but next we just need to actually go outside and start prepping and creating those shelves. So we have some 2x10s. We're gonna cut them down to, I believe, 68 inches, and then we'll need to sand them, stain them, all that stuff. So let's go do that.
My favorite place to be is right here. Not thinking about what brings me down, yeah. My favorite way to be without fear is in the now. I'm learning how. Fast life, no thanks, no I'm.
So when you are picking your boards that you're going to be using for a shelf, I will say be very picky on them, because they will have different coloring. Some might be more red and some have a ton of variation. So you definitely just want to be picky on exactly what you're wanting. And also you want to make sure that you pick out a board that is basically really straight, because a lot of them can be quite bowed and that can create a little bit of a tricky situation when you go to hang them up on the wall and they're curved. And again, I just wanted to remind you, we are using 2x10 boards for the shelves today.
Know where to go with the flow.
All right, it is time to sand. So we're starting out with 60 grit, and then we're going to be finishing them up with some 220 grit. And if you haven't used sandpaper a ton, the higher the number, the softer the sandpaper, and so the smoother the finish will be. It'll be a lot more kind of silky, whereas the lower the grit, you're going to take off a lot more wood at first. So I think you could do it with the 220 grit, but you would have to use so many pieces of sandpaper and it would just take so long. So that's why you really want to have the variation in the sandpaper grit so that you can kind of make the most out of your time and budget.
When I'm under the sun.
So this little weird looking stuff right here is actually sap. Now, this is the first time that I've really had to deal with this, just because we're typically able to kind of choose boards that don't have a bunch of sap, but we looked up how to handle it, and if it's wet, they say to scrape it off, but this one thankfully was all dry, and so if it is dry, you're able to just go ahead and sand it as normal, and it was really kind of satisfying to watch it just all sand right off, but once it was all done, you could not even tell that it was ever there.
Never felt so mean. Watch me dance in the starlight, doing things my soul shine.
Now here, I was just writing some notes on the back pieces of the board that we wouldn't see, and I wrote down like which pieces were my favorite and kind of which order I wanted them to go on the wall and which side I wanted as the top and the bottom of the board and kind of all of that stuff. And then once I wrote my little notes to myself, we got right into sanding, and on this day, I wanted to try something a little bit different. I was planning to get a new stain, just a different color, but I ended up seeing this stain and poly in one, and honestly, I love the result. It just turned out so beautiful and so professional looking. I will say it was a little bit finicky, and you really just have to work quickly. Like, you can't leave any wet edges. You have to just kind of finish it off as you go. Otherwise, you will be able to see where the edges dried. So that was my biggest, I don't know if complaint, but just my biggest feedback on it is you definitely have to work very, very quickly. But it's not hard once you get the hang of it. And if you can get that mastered, the finish is perfect, and it saves you the step of having to go back and re-poly.
One choice, devoid of all temptation, can be the declaration. Yeah, left, right, girls, boys, ignite the spark, be heroes, ridding of your ego. Oh, don't let me fall, I won't let you go. We just gotta let them know. Everyone together now. Stop your voice to stop the sound. You will never stop us now. We're up too high and we won't come down. We're up too high and we won't come down.
Alright, while the final board is drying, I'm gonna go inside. Kyle's actually been building the first nightstand, but I'm not going to show you the finished product yet. We're going to go in and build up the second one, and then I'll have to show you the poles that I got for it. I'm going to swap out the original poles for some really, really pretty like antique gold color ones that I got on Amazon. They are so, so pretty. And also I think I'm not going to today, but I think I'm going to end up painting the nightstands because the only color that kind of worked in the room right now is white. And so that's what I got, but I don't think I'm going to like that against the white wall, so we'll see how it goes, but let's go start building the new nightstands.
Stop, stay up all night, wait till the morning light. Do what we wanna do, not what they taught us to. Run till the sidewalk ends, dive till we got the bed. Do what we wanna do, I know we'll make it through. We got soul, we don't need.
So these nightstands that we got were actually from Wayfair, and basically when I was looking for nightstands, I really wanted some with that top shelf and then the two drawers down below. I just love that look. The ones that I really, really, really wanted were the ones from Crate & Barrel, but they were like $500 each. I'm not spending $1,000 on nightstands, so I searched online for a more affordable option, and I ended up finding these ones. I will still say the ones from Crate & Barrel are my favorite, but these turned out so beautiful. I am planning to paint them, so I don't think that they'll stay like the off-white color that they are right now, but I just ended up being so incredibly happy with these. These were just $150 each, so I ended up saving like $700 from the original ones that I was really wanting. So this definitely was a look for less.
No need to fear, stay, we got it all right here. Do what we wanna do, I know we'll make it through. We got soul, we don't need them, hearts of gold, need no reason. Run into the night, you and I. Take my hand, we'll keep dreaming, drive all night, chase the feeling. All I need in life, you and I.
Kyle's resting. after building the nightstands. Okay, I wanted to show you guys. So this is the knob or the drawer pull that came with the dresser. I got these on Amazon and look how pretty they are. They're kind of like a vintage gold, very aged. It's so pretty. So I'm gonna put the drawers in and I'll show you the comparison of like, seriously, what a difference it makes just to change out your drawer pulls on your dresser, on your nightstand, whatever. Anytime you have furniture and you want to like completely change the look into the drawer pulls. It's one of the cheapest and easiest and quickest ways you can change it. So let me turn you around and show you. Okay, so this would be the first option, and then this is the one that we're gonna do, and I just feel like that totally changes the whole look of it.
When you're only counting time till the continents collide, but out your window.
So my hope for this room was to transform the style, keep most of the furniture just to kind of help us stay low in budget, and I wanted to find little ways to make big impacts. So going forward, I'm actually planning to paint our dresser and change the dresser pulls and everything, but we already went ahead and painted the bed in the last episode, and we removed the barn door hardware as well. We painted that bar going across to be gold, and then of course adding these new nightstands, changing up the hardware, and eventually probably painting these ones. And doing those three things will really make our bedroom set not feel so matchy-matchy and instead feel like a custom look. And it just really goes to show that you do not have to spend a lot of money to make a huge impact on your home. So if you have a bedroom set that you don't love, or you want to kind of change the look of them, or you want to break up the matchy-matchy set, you can definitely do it on a low budget.
I know the skies will open.
Welcome to day 3. But today we're going to be wrapping things up, and it's actually going to be a really fun day because you'll see a lot of things really come together. So earlier this morning I went outside and spray painted some of the black brackets that we have that are going to hold up the shelves, and I spray painted them gold. The same gold that we did on the bed. I'm actually thinking later on I might rub and buff this just to kind of give it a little something extra, but that's going to really kind of tie that in, add some warmth over here. And while that's drying, I'm actually going to go out front and just re-stain the shelves. I don't know if this is fully necessary, but on the package or on the can of like stain and poly combined, it says to go ahead and do your first coat. Then you want to use a 400 grit sandpaper, which I've literally never used something that high, and then go over it again, and then you do one quick coat of like the stain and poly again. And I did it on my test piece and it does look really nice. So we're gonna go ahead and do that to the 3 shelves. Then we'll go ahead and install the shelves, put the room back together and style the shelves. And also, remember how I showed you yesterday, we have that tree that's gonna go right there. I want to give it some height. So we did get a planter at Home Depot yesterday, but you have to make it like bottom heavy so that it doesn't tip. And I also wanna raise the tree up in there because a really, really tall olive tree or like a faux tree is going to cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I don't wanna get a new tree, like we already have one that works really well. So instead I'm going to make the tree feel like it's a lot taller by raising it up in the planter. So that's a little hack, but we'll kind of show you that process when we get to that. But let's go ahead now and continue working on the shelves, and then we'll get them put up. I think it's gonna look awesome. So honestly, I have never even used 400 grit sandpaper before. I think the highest I've really used is the 220. I did the very lightest sand with this, and then I very lightly brushed a top coat of the stain and poly. And let me tell you, it was absolutely worth the extra step. I will say you don't have to do this, but if you want those really, really professional looking shelves, this step is absolutely worth it. And then once I got all of the shelves finalized, then that's when we started getting into our olive tree project, which that was a whole thing in itself, but again, totally worth it.
One of the biggest issues we have with this pot is that this tree needs to sit down inside of it, but not all the way to the bottom. We need to raise it up to be somewhere like that or so. So basically for 50 bucks we can turn this into looking like a more expensive tree. The bottom of this, you can see it's kind of circular and concave, which is a little bit inconvenient for us. We're going to cut a circle out of this plywood right here, put it down at the bottom, screw up this post in the center, put another circle of plywood on it, and from the bottom we'll attach this to the top plywood plate and then put everything together. And then in the bottom we're going to put sand so this is nice and weighted, it won't fall over. And then I have some crushed marble that we'll put on the top, make it look real nice, and that's about it. Seems like a really overcomplicated solution to this problem, but it'll be heavy, it'll be sturdy, and it won't fall over when it's done.
So I'm never gonna let you go. I'll hold you forever. Oh baby, I'ma let you know that we belong together.
It's been like a couple of hours, not a couple of hours, it's been like an hour at least.
Yeah.
Because Kyle was drilling in, he was like, hopefully my drill bit would work. And then he realized he needed to have like a masonry bit. He was trying to get away with it, but
Yeah, and I don't have any, so we had to go get one, and then it was lunchtime, and then
And it
we
was,
went
like,
to
the
Ace
wrong
Hardware, and Ace
time.
Hardware didn't have it, so we had to go to Home Depot.
yeah.
But now we're here.
Yep,
And we're
snowy
good.
is the right kind. Oh my gosh, there were lots and lots of hiccups in this video that honestly just weren't really shown on camera. I think maybe the camera was off, or maybe we just were really busy. We didn't kind of explain what was going on behind the scenes, but we ended up working through everything. So once we got the platform all built, Kyle went ahead and attached the olive tree to the top platform, and then we just finished it off by adding in the rocks to the top so that it looked really nice and professional and just kind of gave it that finished look that we were looking for. Now this is a project that Kyle sorted out all on his own. I just told him what I wanted and he made it happen, which was incredible. And it was so sturdy and it just worked out really great. Now I do think that you could also do this by adding some Quikrete to the bottom of your planter just to kind of raise it up and then letting that dry. And then later on you could set the olive tree in there and pour a little bit more Quikrete on top to kind of stabilize it a little bit. And then you could go ahead and add rocks. And I feel like it would give you that same look. But the nice thing about the way that Kyle did it is that if we want to change out the planter in the future, we can definitely take it all apart this way. And also the way he did it, it allowed it to not be quite as heavy as filling the entire thing up with concrete. But there are just definitely different ways to kind of reach the same outcome. But I absolutely love it now, and I just think it turned out so great. And once again, it just goes to show you can change up the things that you already have and make them exactly what you're looking for, and you can do it on a budget. You just got to get a little bit creative. Okay, one of the hiccups that we had was that I didn't realize it until the day before, but I had ordered the wrong size of these brackets. So that was actually the biggest reason that we weren't able to install the shelves the day before, because I had to reorder the new brackets and return the wrong sized ones. And then also when we were installing the brackets, on the very first bracket, the head of the first screw broke off deep in the wall, and after spending like 15 minutes with a bunch of different tools trying to remove it, we just realized we couldn't remove it, and instead we ended up having to leave it in the wall and just move the bracket over to the next stud. I do feel like it always works out in the end, but I just like to be transparent about the process of these DIYs because they just don't always go as smoothly as they can appear in these makeover videos. So when you embark on these things, don't feel like painting is going to take 15 minutes. Don't feel like these projects are going to go exactly how you plan. You just kind of have to learn to pivot. But let me tell you, it will completely be worth it in the end. Just stick with it.
Let's go. Tonight's the night. Tonight's the night. Oh, I can feel it coming.
Once we got the brackets all installed, I just went out to grab the screws that will actually attach the boards to the brackets. And do not overlook the little details, like for example, painting the heads of the screws gold so that they match perfectly with the bracket. Those kind of things actually make a lot bigger difference than you realize, and it just takes your projects from looking like a DIY to feeling like they're done professionally.
It's gonna be good. Come on and let's get it started. I want you to know it's gonna be big. It's gonna go off. Come on, let's get it going. Let's start the show. Yeah, this is the time. This is the night.
All right, we are getting so close. It was time to put the room back together, and it was so cool just to see how everything was really looking after painting and working on that little cove area, adding in those new nightstands. And at this point, I kind of feel like half of the room looks one way and the other half does not really match, but it will. It will. It's just going to take a little bit more time. You got to be patient. That's just how life goes. It's not instant, but I'm loving the progress and I can totally see the whole room in my mind, and it's looking amazing.
Cause tonight we're living like royalty.
So I picked up some plants recently, and if you get some hanging plants like these, just know that the hanging part actually just pops right off. So you can definitely just pop those off and keep them in the nursery pot. But I wanted to make that little nook area feel so relaxing and calm, especially being in a bedroom. And I just feel like plants totally give that vibe. Now you don't have to use live plants, but I do love that it, kind of purifies your air and it just brings so much life into the space. And I love that it's always growing and changing. So for me, live plants are a must, but I just feel like whether you do faux plants or live plants, they just give such a simple vibe to any space. But you guys will have to let me know what you're thinking of these shelves, especially styling them with all these plants.
It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be good. Come on and let's get it started. I want you to know it's gonna be big. It's gonna go off. Come on, let's get it going. Let's start the show. Yeah. This is the time. This is the night. Night of your life.
All right, so I have the plants all set up kind of how I think I want them. I'll style in some books here and there. I also got some picture frames the other day. Of course, I don't have pictures printed yet, but how pretty is that one? And then I also found this one. I just love the shape of it and thought that was really cool. And then I have a bunch of pots that I just always have planters around. I just went outside and spray painted this one gold to match the gold accents here and there. But also I wanted to say I'm using my candle holders, like candle jars for other things right now. But like something like this that's really small, you can literally pop this in a candle holder and it's a beautiful pot for a plant. And I actually have found over the years, it's usually like, I still feel like I'm a beginner with plants, but I just tend to like keeping them in the nursery pots now. Like I used to repot them, but then you can get root rot and there's just a lot of things. So honestly, I just leave them in the nursery pot and I just stick them in a pretty pot on the outside and it works really good. My tip is to go to somewhere like Walmart or even Home Depot and things like that, because I feel like if you go to an actual nursery, they are going to like baby the plants and treat them so good, then you don't really know if a plant can truly survive. So in order to make it in my house, they have to be a little bit neglected. So I go to places that don't specialize in plants and I feel like then I'm pretty good. So anyway, let's go ahead and get all of these into some pots.
I've been trying hard to keep my cool, but when you're near, there's nothing that I can do. When you're walking in, I know it's true. It doesn't even matter how hard I try, 'cause when I hear your voice, my walls come down. Boy, you are the only thing I want. There must be a way I can make you see that if we fell in love, it will be so sweet. But when it's you and me, nobody can bring us
just wanted to remind you to get creative with your pots. Like the gold one up there was actually a mixing bowl that I just love the look of, so I painted it. And then you can also add filler like I did in that top one to raise the plant up if the planter is too tall. Oh, and this little tiny one was actually an old candle jar that I emptied out and cleaned out, but you never know it. So next time you pick up candles from the store, pay attention to the actual jar that they're in, because I have so many old candle jars around the house that we've burned and then cleaned out, and you can use them all around your house for so many things.
There must be a way I can make you see that
Next, I went ahead and started adding some books to the bookshelves, and I had these cute bookends from Home Goods. But one little tip I wanted to share is if you have some books that are very busy on the cover, but you know that you want to display it or you love that book, go ahead and try to pull off the dust cover. And I would say most of the time, the book itself without the dust cover is actually a lot more calm and pleasing to the eye. The rest of the room will be worked on in the next episodes, and like I mentioned earlier, it might be a few weeks because I have a couple of other videos planned and I'm so excited to share those with you. But I'm also going to Montana to do at least one small apartment / studio makeover, hopefully 2 others as well if we have time, and I'm going to be doing that with my mom, so stay tuned for that. But if you missed the apartment makeover that I did up there last year, you have to go check it out because it was such a small and super awkward apartment, and it just turned into the absolutely cutest place. But enough about that. Oh my gosh, look at this room. It has such a different vibe now, and let me know what you think about well, everything, but specifically if you would paint those nightstands, and let me know if you have like specific color ideas. I'm kind of thinking something really dark and moody, maybe like a dark gray with subtle green undertones, but I have no idea of official colors for that, so let me know your thoughts. But I am just swooning over these beautiful DIY wood shelves, and I love that we were able to add so much height to our olive tree and just make it look so much nicer and expensive. And these nightstands, I love the function of them. I love the look. They are so pretty. And next time we are going to be focusing on transforming my dresser, also adding in some new curtains, which I have some fun tricks to share along with that. And I have a few other DIYs that we'll be including in episode 3 in our bedroom transformation. And if you have not seen the rest of our bedroom makeover, I'm going to link the entire playlist right here, so you can go ahead and get caught up and see all the other things that we've been doing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for the last bit. And don't forget to let me know what you think of everything and what your favorite part has been so far in the entire bedroom makeover. And I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!